Welcome back to the Mbombela Stadium here in Nelspruit. A scintillating comeback from the Springboks. Gutsy and hard and lots required. And of course those comebacks don't just come by themselves. They come from some little bit of special inclination. And tonight, of course, the man of the match, sponsored by South African Breweries, Castle Lager, goes to the man who inspired that Springbok comeback. Well done. A very big welcome to the local boy, Faf de Klerk. Right, I'm now going to ask Mr. Errol Matlala from SA Breweries to present Faf de Klerk with his award, a gold medallion, as well as a magnum of Castle Lager, courtesy of Castle Lager. Faf, hometown, what does it mean to you personally to come back like this from being 10 points down?
No, it's great. I think we showed a lot of passion, and the crowd definitely pulled us through, especially when I won scrum. I just heard the crowd going wild, and it gave us a lot of power. And yeah, it's just a great honor to get man of the match in front of the home crowd. And thanks for all the people for coming out.
How tough was it to come back? It's a really quality Argentinian team.
No, they really were good. I think we struggled to hold on to the ball. They're very good on first phase, especially. They're disrupting every ruck, so we couldn't get quick ball. But yeah, to come back is very special. And I think it just shows there's a lot of talent in this group.
There's obviously a lot of self-belief as well.
No, definitely. I think after they scored that try, we just said to each other, let's calm down, and we only need 2 tries and we're back in it. And that's exactly what we did. So, yeah, credit to the team.
Super. Well, congratulations, Faf. Thoroughly deserved. Huge part of a great comeback tonight.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Cheers.
So tonight's Castle Lager man of the match, Faf de Klerk. Well, one man who won't be quite ecstatic with the way things went. It did look for a while like Argentina were going to win this game. And unfortunately for Augustin Creevy, it just didn't go quite according to plan in the last 10 minutes. Augustin, where did it go wrong in those last 10 minutes?
La verdad que perdemos el partido cuando después de meter el try, que no pudimos tener una salida sólida.
We didn't have a good reception after our try, so there we lost the game.
Y después la cantidad de penales que hicimos y no poder ponérselas en su campo fue determinante para que ellos puedan consolidar el partido.
And also the amount of penalty we make and not be able to play in their field was the reason why they score and they beat us today.
You'll take a lot of heart from this, leading for 70 minutes. That'll mean a lot, and certainly a good sign of what is to come for Argentina.
Hicieron un montón de cosas buenas estos 70 minutos, es una buena señal de lo que está haciendo Argentina.
No, la verdad que ya veníamos demostrándose bastante lo que somos capaces y realmente es una frustración para nosotros haber perdido este partido, así que la verdad es que tenemos que aprender a cerrar partidos y porque lo teníamos para nosotros.
We need to learn to close the games. We were showing a good improvement on the last year. That's why we are really angry on not closing the game and cannot win in today.
Well, hard luck, but on a slightly different note, Gus, 50 caps, it's a great achievement. Congratulations, it must mean a lot to you.
Sí, muchísimas gracias realmente fue un orgullo representar a mi país con 50 partidos, espero que pueda jugar muchos más defendiendo esta camiseta, así que le agradezco a toda la gente el gran recibimiento que tuve.
Thank you very much. I am very proud of representing Argentina and play 50 caps with this jersey, and I want to say thanks to the people and all.
Well, hard luck tonight. Travel safe. Thanks very much.
Thank you. See you in Salta.
Well, as disappointed as one hooker is, ecstatic must be the South African hooker, Adrian Strauss, South African captain. Adrian, probably feeling a little pressure 70 minutes in. What did you say to the guys with 10 minutes to go?
Yeah, we're definitely making it difficult for ourselves. Very tough game. Never to blame the conditions, but we just couldn't get into our groove. And, the Argentinian players did extremely well, and credit to them. Always tough opponents, and especially to Augustin, who played his 50th game, and I know it was very important for him, and he made it personal. So, very tough test match, and very happy to get the win.
Just looking at the first 70, didn't always go according to plan. Obviously, the weather, the conditions, not 100%. But is this a team that's building, that's still finding its rhythm?
Yeah, I think, we are growing, and we need to be better every single week. A lot to improve on. And like I said, we just couldn't get into our groove. And at times we play decent rugby, but we need to be better. And I think we left a couple of points out there. One try here and there, a couple of kicks maybe, so a couple of points, and we couldn't build that scoreboard pressure. We were actually chasing a game that makes it a lot difficult.
What about the last 10 minutes? How important was that?
Yeah, the guys really showed resilience, and I'm very proud of them. And, I never doubted that we would fight back, and the fighting spirit is there. You don't want to be in that situation, but, like I said, the guys really fought back and showed that resilience.
Super. Well, it's a great win. It's a great comeback and lots to work with.
Thank you, Joel, and thank you to everyone that came out to support us and the whole week. It was really special, and you carried us through the last couple of minutes. Thank you.
Super. Congratulations, Adrian. Travel safe. Of course, Adrian will be off to Argentina next week to Salta to take on the same Argentinian team. They will leave on Monday, of course, and we wish Adrian and the Boks all the best of luck and on that trip. It's not going to be easy. Well, it wasn't easy tonight. The Springboks managed to find a way to win a game that could well easily have gone the other way. They've come out on top here at Mbombela Stadium by 30 points to 23.
Well, I suppose relief is the overarching emotion today in the studio after that win, and well done to Warren Whiteley and his exploits right at the end, winning it for the South Africans. And as a result of the two matches that have been played, one win apiece for New Zealand and South Africa over Australia and Argentina respectively. And as Joel said, it's to Salta next weekend when the Pumas get an opportunity to host the Springboks, and of course in Wellington, New Zealand will play in Bledisloe 2 against Argentina. And a few very tough moments, very close match there. We were talking about how well the Springboks should win this game in order for us to be, I suppose, a little bit better off than just relieved. And Nick, we were hoping for beyond 10 points, 15 points, maybe even 20. So yes, I know you're disappointed with the margin, but I want to ask you, were they better today than they were against Ireland?
Well, it's obviously the last 20 minutes colours what you think about this game. Up until 70 minutes, it was very disappointing. But I just want to say that had the Boks taken their opportunities, as we said at half-time, if they'd knocked over a couple of penalties, and particularly Mapu's try was very important, I think then we might have built that 10-point buffer that would have sort of given us a bit more confidence going into those last 20 minutes. I just thought that Faf de Klerk was absolutely outstanding. I also thought Pieter-Steph du Toit coming on the field made a big difference. Just his tap tackle on Hernandez got us that penalty to get back to 23-all. Faf's lateral run and late switch with Hurston was wonderfully done. He also earned that scrum by just ferociously getting in on their scrum half and forcing him to knock the ball on. So there was a lot of urgency that he brought to the team, and as did Jaco Kriel when he came on, and Pieter-Steph. So the replacements did very well. I think that no one's going to be more relieved than the Boks this evening. I think that they felt that the game was slipping away, and just a really good finish to the game, a great try on the blind side there, nice handling, and so nice to see Warren Whiteley score in the corner. But a couple of embarrassing situations. I mean, the one header, the kick straight into Strasser's head by Yankees. I mean, that wasn't a bit embarrassing.
Do you think he was angry at him
and
or something?
What about Whiteley trying to kick it out at the end of the game? He had to catch his own up and under. And
would have been a draw.
I know. It was so it was really a tragedy, or comedy of errors, I suppose you would call it. But we are all very happy with the Springbok win.
Yeah, Nas, there seems to be a trend. Every time the Springboks scrape home, Faf de Klerk's name seemingly becoming synonymous with those wins. Wonderful for a guy who's not got too much experience at top-level rugby to always be the one that seems to be our go-to guy, and fairly reliable as well.
Absolutely. He just had another outstanding game. But, with about 15 minutes to go, I just got a feeling that for once the Argentine reserves never worked. I thought today was for them a day where they should have kept the 15 best players on the park as long as possible. And they didn't do that. And if you go back and look where they made the mistakes, the one from the kickoff and then it was all the reserve players that came on, where South African reserve players made a big impact. So, and I still find it very fascinating when sometimes you have to get a better feel for it. And I thought that the coaches today missed that. And overall, I just believe, and I said to Nick a little bit earlier, you can see there's a new attitude, the way we want to play the game in the future. But we need to up the skill level, especially in conditions where it's a little bit more difficult, because we lost so many balls in the contact situation, in the tackle situation.
Up and unders, dropped
up and unders. And that's when, you know, the game becomes easy if the skill level is high. And I thought also the same with Argentina today.
Yeah.
Really, when it mattered, they kept knocking the ball on. They gave away penalties. They played the ball on the ground. So it was the second half, I thought, was just too many errors by both teams to really get exciting. The only thing that really got us exciting was the way we won the game at the end.
Yeah, you'd almost think the team, Ashwin, is coached by Harry Houdini, the great escape Mark III. It keeps happening. We keep on escaping. But that's not a bad thing, even though, yes, we want to see bigger score lines, bigger wins by the Springboks, more dominant performances. Winning is also a mentality, and hopefully it's something that this young group of guys is picking up.
I totally agree, but I think, you know, to start off with, firstly, I think it's fair to congratulate Argentina for the manner within which they've played this game. And I think their captain, Augustin Creevy, when he mentioned at the end of the game, even though they played well, they need to learn how to close these games out. And today they've actually taught us a very important lesson, the one that we've been talking about in the build-up, whether or not the Jaguares that played in Super Rugby, if this team can perform when they change jerseys, and it was evident today in their performance, what the difference it makes playing for your province, for your union, and then playing for in your national colours. So I think heads up to Argentina for the way that they played. And then for the Boks, you know, a number of unforced errors from the backs. If you can go through the names, all of them unforced errors, which puts the Boks under a lot of pressure. Defensive work, the Bochum won widely. Their defensive effort today, I think, was really outstanding for the Boks. The way within which we saw the likes of Lode Jager attacking, carrying on the ball. But, you know, so I think there's a few outstanding players, and the Bochum in particular, on his defensive work also, we got a word from him as well.
Oupa Mahoja, welcome back into the starting lineup. Cracking game.
Yeah, it's actually good to be back. It was an amazing game to come back to. I think the Pumas made a half for us, and we also made a half for ourselves at some stage of the game. But we thoroughly enjoyed it, though.
What was said behind the poles when you guys went 10 points down?
Literally, all we have to do is worry about the next action. You know, the previous action have been done, so we need to forget about it as soon as possible, focus on the next action, and continue with the game. I mean, we can't do anything about the past.
Congratulations on the win.
Rob, thank you very much. Thanks. Cheers, my brother.
Well, Oupa Mahoja obviously getting the opportunity there in that Springbok starting lineup due to the injury to Siya Kolisi, who's had surgery. Only his 9th cap, and we were talking before saying here's a man who hasn't really had the biggest season in Super Rugby. He's been sitting out, sometimes not even starting for the Toyota Cheetahs. He puts on a green jersey, Nick, and he has one of the best games we've seen him have in a long time.
Very much so. I thought, and Ashwin's mentioned it, his defence was outstanding. He really was all over the field and often making some really good, impactful tackles. He's good in the line-out as well, and generally he made a big impact. And it was interesting that there was talk about getting Pieter-Steph du Toit on the blindside flank because maybe he would tire, but instead Lode Jager was taken off and they put Pieter-Steph and kept Mahoja on, which I think was thoroughly deserved. Just a couple of things. Their captain said that they gave away too many penalties. Well, the penalty count was 11-9, so I thought that it was fairly even. I thought both teams made similar sort of mistakes. You know, the handling errors were 18-19, missed tackles were 19-18. So the penalty count, as I've mentioned, 11-9. So it wasn't a game that really rose to any great heights, mainly because of the poor handling and poor. Well, I think obviously the weather had a lot to do with it as well, because both teams struggled. I thought Hurston at fullback, positional play. There were question marks about that, particularly with their little chip over the back line, Nas. And, you know, either the scrum half's got to cover for him, or else the fullback can't come up into the defensive line and leave no one at the back there for that try.
Yeah, what was quite evident today, Nick and Ashwin, is, you know, you need a specialist fullback. Why? Because his positioning on the fields is going to be different. You know, his combination with the midfield and the outside players. I thought Johan started off nicely, but the more the pressure came onto him, you know, they made some really silly mistakes at the back. Maybe, as Nick mentioned, maybe conditions did play a part, but, you know, as we always say, in conditions like this, you just up your concentration.
Yeah, and both teams play in those conditions. But now the search for a fullback...
We don't have one.
Is a bit of a concern. Ashwin, we saw Sylvain Mahuza had a great little stint at the end of Super Rugby, started very well. He got off injured as well in the Currie Cup. We just don't seem to have a lot of depth for 15.
Well, you know, I think we also, remember Gio Eplon, he's also playing in France. I mean, we've seen on YouTube and also in the games that they've played, apologies, how while he's been playing in France as well. So I think we do have, you know, in that form also perhaps there's others to come in. But, you know...
Warwick Gallant is injured. He's a very good player.
Gallant as well. But if we look, Jesse Kriel was also on the bench and he could have come on at fullback as well. But Johan Goosen today, I think perhaps if there's one thing that you know, to his, if you look at in terms of his performance, perhaps he tried too hard, too much in the game and where he sort of settled in. But with that said, I don't think he had necessarily a bad game because we saw him running, we saw him kicking. And what I really found, you know, it is something which I think when we look at the Irish tests, as perhaps it was lacking, the ability of the 15 to come into the line, be the option on attack. And that is what he did also very well. Yeah. He's kicking, chasing up. And there was an instance where he kicked the ball into the air, went up, we lost the ball and he rushed back to be back into his defensive position. So I think he's fully aware of how to play at 15. So that is a good thing for the Boks because today, and I'm not sure if you guys picked up the same thing, our attack was different as to what it was in the beginning of the season in the incoming series. We were able to put the supporting players into space. Our awareness of the space, the oncoming traffic in the defense was there as well. And I think that, to me, is a positive sign in terms of performance of the Boks.
Kolo, you know what was quite interesting? First off, I thought we showed we want to play. Yeah. And let's be honest, 2 penalties and a possibility of 2 tries would have cleaned them out. But that never happened. But as soon as we really felt the pressure late in the second half, we sort of slightly went back to our old game. And today, in conditions like this, it worked. That's why I say we need to be a little bit more, our decision-making needs to be a little bit more accurate in the sense that in conditions like this, you don't run around and throw the ball around because it's more difficult. Sure. That's when you say, okay, that's fine. When we're inside their half, then we play.
And patience as well.
You know, and patience. And I don't always see that. And that's why at one stage I felt when we had a little bit of the tendency, Johan Goosen was taking the ball and kicking the ball away. Sure. Instead of creating a little bit more.
What I thought was quite encouraging today is we've had a go at Dallander for quite a long time about him just taking it into contact. We saw a number of times today, you know, one on the little pass to Etzebeth, who then passed to Urbana, who popped off the ground and had Etzebeth had the clarity of thought to stay on his feet and collect that was a try. And then you also had, on 2 other occasions, just quick hands by Damien, which makes such a difference because Mapu looked a much better player than in this game. And you were mentioning it, Ashwin, about our attack looking as though it had a bit more width. We did because the ball was moved through the hands better, especially in that first half. And we created those opportunities.
While you're on there, I think we can go back to, because we looked at this during half-time, and this was the missed opportunity, but it proves at that point our awareness, the passes today. And yes, that's exactly what you're talking about, Nick.
Yeah. Nice straightening by, he goes a bit across the field, but he draws 2 defenders. But this is good from Damien. You know, quick hands and a lock, quick hands. Just such a pity here that there he doesn't anticipate the pop and he goes down to clean the Argentine player. Instead of staying on his feet, he could have just hurdled that bloke and scored a try easily.
But now I want to focus on that because they're the awareness of coming and being the support player running to get the ball instead of wanting to clean. That was in that instance. Now, if we look at the following try that was scored by Warren Whiteley, it's different. That anticipation in this instance, and the result ultimately is a try.
Well, again, it's perhaps the difference between the way that the Lions played and the way that other teams have played. Eben has mainly been a cleaner when he plays, but Warren Whiteley is often in a position to take a pass. So here again, you know, nice straight. Yeah.
But if you look there, Nick, the defenders are all there. Normally we should have set up a ruck there, but now we're passing and running for the space.
Again, Etzebeth hardly ever does, and so nice hands from him. Good hands again to Whiteley step inside and a try. But you're quite right. There is a genuine desire now for our forwards just to put that little pass through the hands. Maybe compared with the best in the world, the All Blacks, you'll notice their tight forwards straighten so well. They go inside of the inside shoulder, soft hands. The passes are always in front of the player. But what's good is we highlighted Lutiaga making at half-time those two little passes. We saw Etzebeth doing it. And so perhaps we can be super critical here by saying, why didn't we score more tries? But we created opportunities to score tries today. One which Etzebeth could have scored, one Mapu definitely should have scored, and we were able to get back into this game in the last 10 minutes in difficult circumstances.
Yep. But that's why we say the attitude's definitely there. Etzebeth should have just stayed on his feet. He should have actually slowed down a little bit, sum up the situation, made a better decision, and he could have easily scored.
Ashwin? And I mean, if you look at that, I mean, the difference also what I found today between the teams is the fact that if you look at the box, we tend to run with the ball and want to set up a ruck and then start from there again, as opposed to Argentina, who runs with the ball and try and stay on their feet and keep the ball in play. And that avoiding the ruck situation allows them the bodies in motion. It allows them to run with pace into the spaces, the awareness, and that's where you see the little pop passes. But it's still a big step for the box in the right direction in terms of the way that we are playing.
Absolutely, and also in conditions that weren't conducive to that. Both teams, it wasn't just the box that made a lot of handling errors, so did the Argentinians. But we saw a lot of good little handling passes today. Where I thought we were poor actually was under the high ball. Very few players were as good as, say, Ben Smith under the high ball. We've just got to be absolutely sure, because we might play one of our test matches in New Zealand, for example, in wet weather again, like the Lions did. And we need to have good wet weather skills as well as good dry weather skills.
Right, well, we saw with the crew in the build-up to the match that the rain was beginning to fall at the Mbombela Stadium. It seems to have not been too bad. So back we go where Owen Gomane is standing by with Victor Matfield and Jean de Villiers. Phew, gentlemen, we are certainly relieved in the studio. What about you guys?
Oh, yeah, thank you so much, Tola. Yes, we breathe a sigh of relief as Springboks victorious here at Mbombela Stadium. 4 points in the bag. I think gentleman was not as clinical and as crisp as we wanted to be, but a win is a win nonetheless, John.
Yeah, it is. You know, this team is making it difficult, I think, for the supporters to watch them and for the coaching staff and the players themselves, you know. But I think they'll learn from this, you know, to be able to learn from a win, not play well and still win. Against a quality side, I think they take a lot of confidence from it. So there's certainly a couple of players that put their hands up today and I thought played pretty well. And some combinations also a bit better tonight. So, again, a learning day, but it's nice to be learning when you're winning.
Victor, what were your highlights in today's win?
Yes, I think the biggest highlight is probably winning it at the end there. But I just think, again, I think the team need to go back, have a look. How do we want to win test matches? We must get a recipe, that's our own recipe on how we want to win test matches. I think, again, a lot of errors tonight. But, again, they really stood up tonight. They came out with 10 minutes left. They came back. They scored 2 tries and they won the game. That's fantastic and that's character.
I'm glad you talk about, you know, a lot of mistakes. Do you feel this team is creating more than usual? They're creating the chances. I mean, you look at Lionel Mapu, there's try. There was one with Brian Abana, that little offload. I mean, if those went over and converted that pressure into points, we're talking a different story, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I think there's ambition, you know, which is good. So there's ambition within the team. You can see them taking the ball a bit wide and showing a little bit more ambition. But like Victor said, I think we need to be tactically much better. We're still lacking there and we're playing too much rugby in our own half, making mistakes and then putting ourselves under pressure. So we need to get a fit that's good for this team. And if we can do that, you know, like I said, those combinations are looking better and better, especially midfield as well. And the team's on the up. And like I said, we're winning. That's important.
Victor, realistically now, how good is Argentina?
Oh, well, John said it before the time. This is not the Super Rugby side. This is the national side. They're playing for pride. They won the semi-final last year of the World Cup. This is not a bad side. But again, I think the Springboks will look at their own game and they will say, we can definitely be better.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for today's broadcast. Caller, well, back to you guys in the studio. One of the things that stood out for me, I thought scrummaging was so much better. We expected to be put under pressure. I thought defensively, when we were sharp in our minds, we made our tackles. When we got tired, that's when we started missing the tackles. But I think as the guys have touched on, there's plenty to build on. There's definitely improvement from that Irish series. So a win is a win nonetheless. And for some reason, we always squeak through here at the Bombela Stadium. Hopefully next time we come here, it'll be a good victory for South Africa.
Thanks very much, Owen. Naeem Bombela. It was sung by Hugh Masekela a couple of years ago, and I'm sure there'll be a little bit of singing there as well. Well, we've heard from the three guys. Let's hear from the Springbok coach before we continue our chat. He'll be probably the most relieved out of us all. Ashwin?
Most definitely, and I think there was a lady in the crowd when we saw it at one moment where she was biting her nails, and I think that sums up this game. It was a nail-biting affair. But Owen mentioned the scrums. The Boks did well at the scrums, but what we saw today was, again, and the All Blacks have also shown this to us before, there were twice where the Argentine pack was going backwards. Heavily under pressure from the Boks, and they'll still manage to get the ball out of the scrum and advance 10, 20 meters. And so that shows us also that just because we dominate in the scrums doesn't mean that we're not allowing the opposition to play from that position. So we have to be very focused on how we focus on playing the scrums, but creating a platform from there on to score points.
Yeah, I heard a shadow of excitement from Robbie Kempson on the sidelines when the Argentine scrum looked as though it was on roller skates going backwards. So that certainly is an improvement. And that's what Alistair Coetzee was all about in this match. He was looking for improvements.
Alistair, so close, but you must be relieved, man.
No, I am relieved, Robbie, to be honest. One should really value a win in every test match. And I know it's been really scratchy for the first 65. And last 15, that is what we actually want to see for more longer periods, Basic mistakes, the fundamentals, again. We have to look at that, and get it right. I think it started with the decision when to kick and when to run again. It's not really there yet. The guys actually sometimes make good decisions, then the execution is not right. But it's work in progress. I just want to also mention that the Argentinians are a good side. They're not an improving side in World Rugby. They beat us last year. This team lost the first test against Ireland. Tonight you got the result. So it's actually, there's something to start and to base the sort of foundation with on a win and rectify those mistakes and work harder this week. It's going to be tough in Salta, but be a much bigger improvement to start with in every test.
As always, there are work-ons, but something you should be very impressed with, the resolve they showed when they went 10 points down.
Yeah, that's something you can't coach. It shows, that's testimony to a good culture in the team and never give up attitude. The players, the idea was really for the bench to bring that impact and take the game completely away from Argentina. And yeah, they had to come to win the game for us. But I'm really proud of the impact that the bench really made today. Still, like I said, important to win test matches at home.
Kicking practice maybe for Warren Whiteley?
Yeah, I think Warren, he apologized for that. He said he never meant it to be a contestable. He heard the hooter and he was so excited to get it off. He just miscued it, So we need to work on our kicking game, definitely.
All the best for Salta.
No, thanks very much, Rob. It's going to be a massive test. I think it's a short turnaround also in the sense that we've got to travel, so we're missing out on 1 day's training. It will be tough out there, and we just have to hang in and make sure we select the right side and cut down on our mistakes, yes.
Hey. Robbie Kempson, leave Warren Whiteley alone. He's working on his up and unders. He's getting better. Nick, final thoughts?
Yeah, I think that this weekend has shown us that probably New Zealand are 10 to 20 points better than any other team in the world at the moment, including England. England probably justifiably second because of their 3 wins in Australia. But we're at the moment in a whole batch of teams. I've written us down: South Africa, Australia, Argentina, Ireland, Wales, France, all fairly close. On any day we can win, any day they can beat us. So what we have to do, and what Alistair and this team has to do, is take us out of that group into the next best in the world. before we start saying we're going to beat New Zealand, let's get ourselves away from these other teams. And at the moment, we're too close to these other teams. Ireland gave us trouble. This team will give us trouble. They'll give us trouble next week. When we play against Australia, we're going to be in difficulty. So it's a work in progress, as he says, but there's a lot of enthusiasm amongst these guys, and I'm looking forward to watching them in this rugby championship.
Next week in Salta, it'll make it tough because the Argies will know they came close.
Yeah, but I still feel that we actually kept them a little bit in the game because of
missing
opportunities, not putting the points on the board when we should have. And that makes it easier for the team that should be out of the game to think, oh, wait, I've got a chance. And then suddenly they ahead with 10 points. Then it's a little bit of a different ballgame because now they're tails up. But I still believe if we can get it right through a little bit of better decision-making, better skill, to score when we have to, get away from teams like this. This could have been easily a 20-point difference. But then we kept them a little bit inside, and we had good fun in the last 2 minutes, to be honest.
We're talking and focusing on the positives, Ash, and on the improvement, which is there. And now it's just the execution, and we always hear the Springboks talk about execution. Can they actually get it right?
Consistently improving. I think this is what we've seen from this Boks squad this year. So I would hope that, as far as the error rate is concerned, that we'll bring that down and also just increase on the things that we've been doing well. So I think, it was an overall performance where we saw different elements and aspects. It was good and bad from this team, and hopefully we can build and grow, and next week come out better and stronger. And also, like the coach even congratulated the Argentinian team. I think they really did well. So, a very good rugby championship to look forward to.
Yeah, certainly we'll be looking forward to the rest of the tournament. So wins then for South Africa and New Zealand, which is absolutely wonderful. And a good start overall, though. Yes, there were some nervous moments and some jangled nerves. All certainly there to see on social media. Read through that hashtag #SSRugby. It really has been interesting. Thank you very much. Well done to the Springboks and to the All Blacks, of course. But we all hit the reset button. And next week in Salta, start the scores from 0-0. But success from the box in Bombela, from myself, Nick, Nasa, Ashwin, and the rest of the crew, cameras, and everybody in the control room. Thank you very much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.